So we've talked about those overarching kind of like 5 types. And then what sits underneath that?
Within each energy type, every type has a strategy, which is very practical. Your strategy is telling you how you're specifically designed to attract opportunities and create opportunities. So basically,
everyone has the opportunity to create opportunities.
Yes.
Or the ability, sorry. I should say everybody has the ability to create opportunities, but how we create them is different.
There are specific steps you can take for your type that sort of streamline your process and make you the most magnetic to those opportunities. Traditionally, it's called waiting for the invitation. I like to call it being invited because I think waiting, people
just sit around
research and they're like, oh, I'm meant to just wait. Like that feels really disempowering to people because they're like, well, if I'm just sitting here waiting, like what's going to happen? It's about knowing how to create invitations. So firstly, because projectors have an aura that reaches into people and sees them clearly, projectors often think that they know the right way to do things, the better way, the new and improved way of doing things. And so we often want to tell people what to do. That's why the invitations are really important because we need to receive an invitation to share our wisdom. It's not to share just a general opinion about something. I reached out to you to offer you a reading. Like I don't need an invitation for that. But it's when you're giving someone advice, I need an invitation. And that means I need to be recognized by you and I need to know that you have a landing space for what I'm telling you. And I create invitations by actually recognizing myself, my gifts, what I'm fascinated by, and showing you that I have something to offer.
And what about for a generator?
So for a generator, your strategy is responding. And so responding is about knowing the universe is always bringing you a stream of opportunities to tune in to that gut feeling. Is it a yes or is it a no? Do I feel lit up or do I feel burnt out just by thinking about doing that thing? And really setting those boundaries. So that's why for generators, boundaries are really important. Obviously for everyone, boundaries are important, but for generators, like extra important. You actually create opportunities by saying yes to things that light you up and saying no to things that don't light you up, knowing that that makes you more magnetic to more of the opportunities you want. And even when you do have to do some of those things on your list that you don't feel like doing, just bringing the awareness that you aren't doing it on autopilot. You're doing it with this conscious awareness that, okay, no one else can do this. It's really urgent. I'm still doing it. That still makes you magnetic because you're not just, as I said, being on autopilot or future tripping and doing things that are unintentional.
I do one thing a day that I don't want to do. That's how I get through
That's a good
things.
limit.
It's so asphyxiating to me. When I turned 40, I literally just turn a blind eye to things that I don't want to do, and that's not healthy either. So my commitment was every day you have to do one thing that you don't want to do.
And do you find that works for you? Like
it's not as
you have less resistance.
Yes.
I love that you have like a strategy within your strategy.
Well, even with children, I think it could be quite fascinating.
To me, that's one of the best uses of human design. Essentially, the goal of human design is deconditioning, which is about releasing all that conditioning, all those limiting beliefs that other people put onto us since we were children, like our parents, our teachers, society, the media, social media. And it takes us away from who we are. And then that actually takes us away from thriving in a way that really lets us live our purpose. Let them be themselves and actually understand them through the human design lens. We can know how to let them be more themselves instead of making them think, oh, that's really weird. Don't do that. Don't behave that way. Or there's something wrong with you. Reflectors and manifestors who are less common, they might feel really different to a lot of other people and their parents might reinforce that. I think it's the most amazing thing. I've done a lot of readings for parents for their children. And it's amazing from such a young age how you can already see them just being themselves. It's so refreshing how children just are so themselves, whereas adults sometimes they do always resonate with the reading, but I do think they can have this self-perception it's who other people have told them they are as opposed to who they really are.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be fascinated. Someone that had that kind of nurturing their whole life, how that would play out would be very different from someone who's had a lot of reinforcement to be a certain way. Yeah. So much of who we are is because we've been conditioned to be that way.
Generators and Mani-Gens are the most common, and we are so taught in society to act like generators and Mani-Gens. It's just, especially generators, like just have a lot of energy and just keep doing, like stick to what you're focused on, like don't change directions. And so it's really about reframing all of that or just creating a new narrative.
How can human design help to then support someone if they've had burnout or to help re-regulate their system?
Human design is amazing to, in the first place, avoid burnout. If you're already burnt out
to this and they're like, I'm already burnt out.
Learn about your energy type, whether that's through a reading. You need to find the right sources so that you read empowering and clear, practical information. Learning about your energy type can really help you because based on your type, it tells you how you can actually honor your natural energy, whether that's ebbs and flows or consistent energy. Like as a generator, you would know if you don't honor your boundaries and you do too many things you don't feel like doing, and that's your whole day, then you're going to be burnt out eventually. Just knowing that as a generator can help you start to retrain the way that you go about your day. Same for all the energy types. You know, if you're feeling like a heightened nervous system or something like that, like that's connected to your burnout, even through human design, you can understand your emotions. If you're an actual emotional empath, or if you're someone who has more ups and downs in your moods, and if that's actually how you're just meant to be, and how to actually go with that and see it as an empowering thing instead of this disempowering thing of like, my emotions are out of my control.
Truly gives you the grace to be who you are once you know these things, and living more towards that makes life just easier in general. Can you share any like examples where you've seen people almost have a transformation by being able to take their human design on board as they're living their life?
Going back to children, something that really touched my heart was when I gave a reading to a mum. This isn't specifically about burnout necessarily, but it was a mum who came to me and her son was about 11. Basically, he was having some troubles at school. He was sort of behaving like he had ADHD at school, but then when there was an OT that observed him at school and told the parents he has ADHD, she was like, that just doesn't feel right to me because he doesn't behave that way at home, like you're talking about a different child. And then when the OT saw him at home, she actually said, oh, like you're right, I don't see any of that behavior at home. When I did a reading for her son, I taught her that he's a projector, and also that he had a lot of, like what I was saying about reflectors with the open energy sensors, he had a lot of those. And that means that he's someone who would take in so much energy from his environment, be really overstimulated potentially, especially as a child, like maybe not knowing how to regulate their own nervous system or have tools to do that. When she messaged me after the reading, just sharing how it had transformed their family's life, I think she said, I can now really just see him for who he is, and I can see his gifts and that he's amazing and that he's none of those things that, you know, they were saying. Not that there's anything wrong with, you know, having ADHD. It's sad when someone gets diagnosed, but then the parent doesn't feel that makes sense. And and so she just felt like, wow, I can really see him clearly. And I guess she felt like she could also advocate for him more by understanding that.
I think also because children find it difficult to communicate often as well, it can be really helpful to just have that extra piece of information to help them navigate throughout their younger years. A lot of it is just trial and error and guessing most of the time, and doing things as you would do when it's not even suitable for somebody else.
Definitely.
But it's not ever too late to also learn any of that either.
No, definitely not. Yeah, like I've had people come for readings in their 60s, so it really doesn't matter how old you are. I guess it's more about the intention. You want to be able to attract opportunities more easily. Maybe you want to be able to make decisions. It could be struggling with a relationship. Like you might think someone who's older, oh, they've just got a settled, happy relationship, but they can be going through the exact same things that young people can be going through, of like, oh, I'm not sure if this person lights me up, and then finding out they're a generator and realizing how important it is to be lit up. Just something as simple as that can be that light bulb moment for them.